How do you evaluate the accuracy of your cost forecast? Is there any metric that gives you the confidence on the accuracy of your cost forecast, primarily your estimate at completion or estimate to complete? Hello, I am GHORBANI, the founder and director of Project Control Academy, where we help you master your knowledge and skills in project controls and take your career to the next level of success. You know, not long ago, a powerful earned value management metric called TCPI, or To Complete Performance Index, was introduced as a forecasting metrics. TCPI used primarily to determine if an independent estimate at completion, or EAC, is reasonable. Now, the focus of today's training is on the topic of TCPI. I'm going to open up TCPI for you and show you how you can use these powerful metrics to assess the accuracy of your forecast. Now, to better understand the power of TCPI in validating the cost forecast, let's first understand TCPI and its difference with the CPI, or Cost Performance Index. As you know, the Cost Performance Index, or CPI, tells you what has been accomplished for what has already been spent. So it's basically looking at the past, what you have performed to date. By contrast, the TCPI focuses on the future. A question such as what performance levels must be achieved on the remaining work in order to meet a specified management financial goal is what is answered with TCPI metrics. While many practitioners of earned value management understand the utilization of the CPI, but many have not used TCPI at all. And it's a pity, I guess, because the TCPI, when you use it in conjunction with the CPI, it provides a very powerful set of tools in the management and forecasting of your projects. Now, talking about the utilization of TCPI, TCPI can be used for two main purposes. One is to calculate the future cost performance that a project must achieve on the remainder of the project work to reach a specified end result. And another is to determine whether a target, forecast, or estimate at completion is reasonable. So these are the two primary applications of To Complete Performance Index. Sometimes your management has an end target in mind, for example, finishing on budget, and they want you to assess the future cost performance, or basically predicted CPI, to achieve that target. In such cases, TCPI is the answer to your management question. Now, let's come up with the TCPI formula together. To determine the TCPI, or basically predicted CPI, first let's review the formula for our Cost Performance Index, or CPI. CPI is the dollar value of what has been accomplished to date, which is basically earned value, or EV, over what has been spent to date, or our actual cost. Now, to come up with TCPI, as I said earlier, CPI looks at the past and TCPI looks at the remaining. It looks at the future. So to come up with the predicted CPI to achieve that target EAC, we need to look at the remaining work, right? So what do you think the instead of what has been accomplished to date for CPI, what would be that for TCPI or predicted CPI? That's right. What is left to be accomplished, because we are looking into the future. How about the bottom of that formula? What do you think it would be instead of the actual cost or what is spent? What are we trying to figure out here? Yes, the dollar value of the work that is remaining. So that's basically is going to be our predicted CPI, which is known as TCPI, right? We are looking into the future. We are looking into what is left to be accomplished over what is remaining. Now, let's come up with the formula, earned value management formula, and replace this knowledge with some equations. So, can you tell me what is the dollar value of the work that is left to be accomplished? What is the formula for that? Yes, that's budget minus earned, right? Budget at completion, which is my formal approved budget, minus what I have accomplished to date, give me what is left to be accomplished, right? How about the dollar value of what is remaining? What will be the formula for that one? That's right. That's going to be our ETC, or estimate to complete. So, do you know the formula for ETC? Yes, that is estimate at completion minus actual cost give me my ETC, right? Basically, my estimated cost at completion minus whatever I have spent to date give me what is remaining, or estimate to complete. Here you go. We came up with a formula for this complicated metric, TCPI. So, the formula for TCPI would be my budget minus earned, budget at completion minus earned value over target EAC minus actual cost. Now you might question why I have target EAC here. Well, the target EAC could be the current budget at completion, or BAC. For example, if you want to estimate your predicted CPI, if you want to finish based on your current budget, then you will replace your target EAC with BAC, or budget at completion, to come up with the projected CPI for the remainder of the project. The target EAC can be EAC itself, it can be the current estimate at completion, or it can be even a management specified end result goal. It can be just a number, a dollar value, something that management has in mind and want to assess what would be the performance for the remainder of the job in order to achieve that end target or that financial goal. So that's basically the formula for TCPI. Now, let's better understand what TCPI formula means. If I have a TCPI of, let's say, 1.1, what would that mean? Well, the plain language definition is for every dollar that is spent from here to the end of the project, $1.10 worth of budgeted work must be completed or earned to achieve that target EAC, right? So if my calculated TCPI is over 1, the question that we need to answer is this new level of cost performance realistically obtainable? Because if TCPI is over 1, it means that we are projecting that for the remainder of the project, we are going to have a very good performance. Over 1 performance means, the projected CPI is over 1, so we have to perform really well in order to achieve that target that we have in mind. So that's why we need to question whether this target that we have in mind, is it realistically achievable? And this leads us to the next feature of TCPI, which is for assessing the feasibility of a target forecast. So TCPI determines whether a target forecast or estimate at completion is reasonable. You might question how it does that. Well, TCPI, when you compare that with the cumulative CPI, you can get some good information and assessment. A target EAC or a target forecast is reasonable if your TCPI is within the range of your CPI. It's not deviating that much from your CPI. And basically the range is CPI plus or minus 0.05. So if TCPI is within that range, it means that you are very close to your cumulative CPI, and that's why your forecast seems to be achievable and reasonable. But if your TCPI is over that range, is over that CPI plus 0.05, then it means that your forecast is kind of optimistic. It might be hard to achieve because you have to increase your performance more than what you were performing to date on the project. And if your estimate at completion is conservative, if your TCPI is less than your CPI minus 0.05. So if you are coming with a TCPI that's kind of lower than your cumulative CPI to date, then it means that you kind of have some buffer in your cost estimate for the completion of the project. So it might be a bit conservative depending on how far your TCPI is from your CPI. So that's basically the range that you need to assess when you are given a TCPI by comparing to your CPI, and then evaluate whether your forecast is reasonable or not. To help you better understand the concept of TCPI, let's go through an example together. And the example that we have is Brian is the project manager on a project to create a new software application, and the project is due to go live in 12 months. The project is due to be completed in 4 months, and at the start of the project, Brian estimated that the project would cost $2.4 million. And I forgot to ask you to grab a pen and paper, and as I walk you through this example, please jot down some numbers and some facts about this example or this exercise so we can solve it together, so that you can learn the most by being engaged. So if you haven't grabbed a pen and paper, please pause this video now and go and get a paper and pen and start analyzing this project together. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's move on. So far we were talking about Brian, who is the project manager, working on a project that's going to go live in 12 months. And the project is already due in 4 months, and Brian estimated at the beginning of the job that this project would cost $2.4 million. Now, the cost incurred by the project so far is $2.1 million, and Brian has also estimated that the value of the work completed so far is $1.2 million. Now, at a recent meeting with the stakeholders, Brian was informed that the project must go live sooner, in 2 months, basically 2 months sooner than expected. Now, after the meeting, Brian estimated that the total project would cost $2.9 million in order to achieve this accelerated schedule. Now, Brian has approached you to evaluate this forecast for him. Now, tell me, what is your opinion about Brian's estimated total project cost? Do you think it's achievable? Is it optimistic? What do you think about this forecast? I give you a couple of minutes to go through this example, think about it, and then I walk you through the answer. Okay, are you ready? If not, please pause this and come back when you are ready. So, to be able to answer Brian's request, what do we need to calculate? That's right, TCPI is the answer, right? So now let's see what facts we are given in this project. Based on the information given, Our budget at completion is $2.4 million. Our actual cost is $2.1 million. Earned value $1.2 million, and estimate at completion, which is basically what Brian has estimated, is $2.9 million. Now, TCPI, I already showed you the formula for TCPI, so if I replace those with the numbers, it gives me the TCPI of 1.5. Now, in order to assess whether this estimate that Brian came up with is reasonable or not, what do I need to do? Yes, I need to compare my TCPI with the CPI. So let's see what CPI is. CPI is basically earned value over actual cost. So if I do that calculation, it gives me the CPI of 0.57. Now, if I compare my TCPI with the CPI, what information I would get here? Yes, TCPI is it's way over my CPI plus 0.05. So it means that the forecast is really optimistic. What Brian came up with is optimistic and probably not achievable. So he needs to bump up his estimate and come up with a more realistic estimate, right? So you can see how powerful this TCPI metric can be in assessing your forecast and understanding whether your forecast seems reasonable or optimistic or pessimistic, and so you can reevaluate your forecast. So in summary, TCPI measures the future cost performance index that's needed to achieve a target forecast for your project. It's basically the predicted CPI for the remainder of the project. TCPI also determines the feasibility of a target forecast or EAC by comparing it with the CPI. Now, if you're interested in getting more information and more comprehensive training on earned value management, I highly recommend you check Essentials of Earned Value Management Training or Mastering EVM for Project Success training programs at Project Control Academy. Both of these programs are available online, and you can take them at your own pace and the convenience of your home. The Essentials of Earned Value Management, gives you all the foundation that you need about earned value management. After this course, you can easily implement earned value in a project and completely have an in-depth understanding of earned value management. The other course, Mastering EVM for Project Success, is more of an advanced course on EVM and kind of a practical application of EVM because it walks you through a case study and make you implement earned value on a sample project from the beginning to the end. So if you want some practical application of earned value and want to examine your understanding in terms of the application of earned value, then that's the course to go for. So both of those, you can check more details on those courses on projectcontrolacademy.com. Now, I hope you've learned something new about the concept of TCPI and how you can use this powerful metric in assessing the forecast and also to come up with your predicted CPI for your project. And if you have any question about anything that we have discussed over here, please post your comments or questions down below this video or below this post so I can go over them and respond to you. And if you found this video valuable, please hit the like button and share it with your coworkers or whoever you might think would benefit from this training. Thanks everyone. Until the next episode of Project Control Mastery, do your best in everything that you do and make a difference.